Well, hello again to all my friends. You know me as Mia Marston, the person who used to record some very interesting content on Impact Wrestling. I don't like Impact Wrestling. I'm going to be the first person to admit it. But the series I'm bringing you today, I've got a lot of interest in. So let's go ahead and get started. We will be running 205 live in just a few moments. Of course, it would help if I selected the right database. I'm not going to edit that out because y'all know what happens. If you have like 30, 40 databases, it's bound to happen eventually. So, lately I've been gone because I've been trying to get through grad school. I will be entering my fourth semester next year, which means that I will be done with coursework in May. So we're approaching a time where I'm going to have to work on my thesis. So my content isn't necessarily going to keep coming out. I would say that the best chance I have at being able to come back and record for you guys full time is probably somewhere in the August, September area. But I can't promise anything. That being said, I figured a nice little Christmas present for those of you who do still follow my channel, and it's very much appreciated. This is something I would like to continue to do one day, so, if you enjoy this content, like it, subscribe, do what you gotta. But that's enough of shameless advertisement. We're gonna get started here on this save. It's gonna be 205 Live. 205 Live is probably my favorite program in the WWE universe right now. I think that it's really interesting to see how these athletic specimens are able to honestly tell a better story than most of the main roster people. So we're going to be Drake Maverick, obviously. And we are going to be 205 Live in this database that I've separated Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, and NXT UK all into their own companies. I think it's a really cool concept, especially because, you've got all these different superstars who are really, really talented. So obviously, we'll run down our roster. We have Tozawa at mid-card status. We have Arya Davari, who... he's a lower mid-carder. Buddy Murphy, who's a mid-carder. And this is a super awesome pick pack. But the problem with the super awesome pick pack is that sometimes the pictures don't save under the right names. That's okay, though. So we have Cedric Alexander, the world champion, and the upper mid-carder. Obviously, that should probably be edited at some point in this database. But given how little time I've had, you'll have to excuse that little mistake. Dean Malenko's our road agent. I did this because he's a former cruiserweight, one of the best cruiserweights of all time. He has 96 psych and 100 respect. So I figured that it's realistic that he would actually be useful. We have Drake Maverick, who... I'm sure is under Rockstar Spud still because, we can't change names apparently. We have Drake Wirtz, the referee. I chose Drake Wirtz because, honestly, I generally like him as a referee. He's not an OP ref at 74, but he's good enough to where, he's not going to down our match quality for existing. So then we have Drew Gulak, a lower mid-carder, who can wrestle really well. Gran Metalik, who is probably one of the best wrestlers on this roster, period. Hideo Itami, who I'm sure is under Kenta, who's an upper mid-carder. We have Jack Gallagher, the gentleman, if you will, who's under PPA because technically he appears for NXT UK. We have Kalisto, who's one of our main eventers. Lince Dorado, the third member of Lucha House Party, is an opener. Leo Rush, an enhancement talent who drives everyone insane, apparently, with his gimmick. Maria and Mike Kanellis. Mike Kanellis is a main eventer, but the problem with Mike Kanellis is that he is not considered a cruiserweight. So we're going to cut him. And we're going to cut Maria while we're at it. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to go through the work of changing Mike Bennett to a cruiserweight. That's just how it is. We have Mustafa Ali, a mid-carder. Nigel McGuinness, color commentator. Noam Dar, the lower mid-carder. Percy Watson, our other color commentator. The Brian Kendrick, a main eventer who we're probably going to regularly use to put over talent because he's really good at that, and he's 39. Let's be real here. if we are going to use Brian Kendrick in the future, he would be best used as a guy to get somebody over. Maybe Mustafa Ali. We have TJP and upper mid Carter, who will probably honestly jump to main event soon. He might end up being one of our big stars in the future. We have Tony Nese, who is under Anthony Nese for whatever reason, and has his gimmick of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 reasons to something. I don't remember the rest of it. And then we have Vic Joseph, who is our other commentator. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out by just kind of setting things up. We're going to move our shows to Fridays because no other show in the WWE Universe broadcasts. So maybe we'll be able to pick up some deals with people. We have events on the network. We have TV shows on the network. Some might consider this a little bit of cheating, but I think realistically if 205 ran its own event, it would definitely be on the network. The Cruiserweight title is this thing. So that's handled. Cedric Alexander is our current champion. Actually, I believe Buddy Murphy's our legitimate champion, so I'm going to fix that because it's bothering me. So, Buddy Murphy. We are eventually going to get a tag division going, I think, but, you know, this isn't going to be an easy save by any means. The problem with this save is that, yeah, 205 Live being at cult level makes it easier, but you have to contend with the WWE for people, and it's just a giant pain. That being said, I feel like this is something, like I said, that I'm very passionate about, so that might help. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for males who are between the ages of 1 and 45, who are max size of lightweight, and who are wrestlers to hire. Obviously, that's going to turn up a lot of results. So let's look for good in-ring workers. So anybody here on this list that looks good, I would say that Phoenix is someone we want to hire. He's a very good cruiserweight, and he might be able to, you know, bring in a Mexican demographic. His pop is at 51 in Mexico, and he has a little pop in the US, so he won't come in and be useless, basically, is where I'm kind of going with this. Jay White, I want to shortlist, because I would prefer not to anger New Japan yet. I was thinking about Shelly and Sabin, but I feel like that might be a little too far, given that we know that Shelly is part-time at best right now. We have a lot of options here. I don't know why you're PPA, but I'm not going to sign you until your contract actually expires. However, we are going to bring you back because you are one of my favorite cruiserweights, and I'm sure given the opportunity to main event 205 Live and be the world champion of a brand that basically this is their world championship, I'm sure that would appeal to Pac. We're going to grab Pete Dunne because he's probably one of the best wrestlers right now in all of wrestling. We're going to grab Pentagon Jr. because he and Phoenix are probably going to team up in our new tag division, as well as he's just generally, he's decently popular. He's really popular in Mexico. We want to grab that Mexican demographic because, quite frankly, I think that will be useful down the line. Sean Daivari I want to pick up, but I want to pick him up as someone not involving... Oh, I can't do that? Well, then whatever is needed. Basically, my thought is, like, maybe making him the mouthpiece for Arya, or maybe making them a tag team. It's kind of one of those two things right now. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because I'm really going to try to steer away from the 2005 Daivari gimmick, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to grab Travis Banks, as I think he's one of the most talented wrestlers in the world. He's New Zealander. I don't really know how to say that, but he's a good brawler. He's a decent wrestler. He brings a demographic from the UK division. There's a lot there to work with. Obviously, we want the best cruiserweight arguably in the world, Will Ospreay. And the other arguable best cruiserweight in the world, Zack Sabre Jr., because these two guys are really just so talented. Like, it just makes me really happy to see those guys having success. Um, is there anyone else we really want to grab? I did think about Brandon and Brent Tate, but I think they'd be better to shortlist for now. Pillman's kind of the same way. I would love to use Pillman, but the fact is that at 25 and with little experience, he's just not quite what we need right now. Not Conor McGregor because that's just cheap. Conor McGregor would be hysterical though. Dalton Castle, I might consider down the line as he is very charismatic, but given this show is a lot less about charisma, it wouldn't make too much sense to hire him right now until he gets a little better in ring. However, El Ligero is someone I'm going to give a little tryout to. 6 months. I think he can be really a useful addition to this roster. Jarek 120. I don't have a picture on him, but he is basically looks like Chris Hero. So if I ever want a cruiserweight Chris Hero, I know where to go. Let's see. Moving down the list, we have Mark Andrews, who I definitely want, as he's just a very cool superstar. I really like his performance abilities. His cool performance is 84. His wholesome performance is 87. This guy could be the Rey Mysterio type. I want to shortlist Skrull because I like Skrull, but I would be remiss if I didn't hire the Young Bucks. And yeah, some of you might just have like wanted to turn off your sets at this moment, your computers. But the fact is that the Young Bucks come with a lot of popularity. They could genuinely be main event stars in my company, and it's not the WWE, technically. So, moving on here. Paul London is someone that I want to give a tryout to as well. He might be another one of those veteran guys that we can trust to carry the company if we need to. I have 2 more names in mind. Well, a little more than 2, but actually, we're going to grab Sean Maluda for a 3-month tryout period. See if he's any good as like an enhancement talent for now. Maybe he'll get better later. Let's grab Shane Strickland because I'm going to grab him and AR Fox as another tag team. Kind of what I'm thinking with that is like they're both very talented, but they need a chance to succeed. There's Clement Pitois. Is my accent good? No? It's okay. Here's Tyler Bate, who is going to be a great addition. And then I have one more addition I want to make if he's not written. Ah, crap, he's written. That's disappointing. But that's okay. We're going to shortlist everyone on the NXT UK, the NXT, the WWE, wherever it is. Oh wait, it's Raw now. I forgot that like because I separated out Raw and SmackDown, it kind of makes it more painful, which is fine. I mean, I really like the way this is working out so far. We'll grab all the NJPW guys. And then we will finish up by I'm just going to write down one name here. And it's a little controversial as he's kind of really good at crippling people, but anyway, moving on here. Only showing announcers, we want Nigel, Vic Joseph, and Percy Watson, even if I don't like Percy Watson. A side note, I hope that Southside Hitman edits Vic Joseph's announcing because that is ridiculous. Vic Joseph is at least as good as Tom Phillips. Period. So, I don't know what to do with that. So, we're going to at least try to get you one show in before we call this stream good because if you're actually sitting through here and listening to me drone on about things that don't matter to normal people, you deserve at least one show. So Nigel, Vic, and Percy will be commentating the first 205 Live. So let's move on to hopefully Friday. Hopefully we don't lose anybody to the WWE. I would be devastated if we couldn't have Pac versus Will Ospreay. Or like basically Neville versus Ospreay. Another good one would be Neville versus Phoenix. I would be devastated if we lost him, but I don't really think that's going to happen, as I'm not afraid to spend more money than I need to in order to get somebody. So, I don't know. Either way, it's been a while since I've been able to stream, but in my spare time, I've actually been doing some broadcasting as my job. So, what I do is I broadcast the local news to attempt to give equal access to the people who are visually impaired, and it's something that's really rewarding. But not only that, it gives me experience with broadcasting. It lets me do this better for you guys in theory. Of course, it is possible that I'm just completely awful at this. Oh, hi Maria Canellis. You can go wherever you want. Leave me alone. um, DDT and Dragon Gate wanting Maria Kanellis is kind of a surprise. Like, unless Dragon Gate offer Mike Kanellis, that's just gonna be awkward for them. They might split up. Might be disappointing. I don't know. I hope nobody loves the "This is a great" that thing, because that is not a thing that's looking promising right now. But yeah, so hopefully my broadcasting skills continue to get better, because the better they get, the more likely it is that I'm going to want to use them. And using them benefits you guys, the viewers. So, I don't know. As far as other things that I've done in life go, I got my second tattoo. It's Squirtle holding a dive ball, because I'm a big Pokemon fan. Squirtle was actually my first Pokemon, and it was the beginning of what turned into not only an addiction, but an outlet. Because growing up, things weren't perfect for me, but Pokemon was very much there for me when there weren't other people there. That brings us to the hirings for Wednesday, week 1, December 2018. But first, oh god, Sheamus is injured. That's not good. Jack Gallagher relocated, though. We signed Phoenix, Pete Dunne, Sean Davari. And face and heel status doesn't really matter, as this is a mostly wrestling-based company, so why would it? El Ligero's here, Sean Maluda, Shane Strickland, Tristan Archer, Toilet Bait. Toilet Bait. We need one more person, actually, that I definitely forgot existed, but he is very necessary for my plan. So AR Fox is gonna theoretically join us. Adam Page, if you were, a little bigger, I'd probably sign you. Shout out to Shane for that. As much as I hate to admit it, Adam Page is a decent wrestler, even if Shane kind of has a little too much of an affinity for him. But I love the guys that got me hooked on TEW. They're good guys. Shout out to Tech. If you want to check out his stuff, he's the Rybolts. He also does some TEW recording, although I don't really know what he's been doing lately. Like, I haven't had the chance to watch much video recording because I've been doing recordings myself. I've been live on the air. I've been dealing with grad school. And yeah, it does sound like a big excuse, but I had to write 27 pages of papers in 3 days, and we're not going to do that again. That's just not a good idea. So, moving on here, as I not respond to TEW, Court Bauer is apparently an American writer and producer. I don't really care. Grant Metalik has a complaint. Leo Rush has a complaint. Kushida's getting an offer, and NXT's changing their production. Meanwhile, we signed Penta L0M, Travis Banks, Mark Andrews, and Your Highness, Paul London. Sean Davari, Sean Maluda, Tristan Archer all get spots on the roster. So what does this do for our main eventers? Obviously, we see Tozawa went up. We have Tommy, Kalisto, Kendrick, and TJP. So that's a good main event scene. Upper mids are Tozawa, Murphy, Alexander, and Gallagher. Murphy being our world champion, he kind of needed that push. Oh, God. Here, everyone, just take a bonus and shut up. Tomorrow night is 205 Live. So let's move on, and hopefully we get... If we get Pac signed here, that would be a big boon. If we get the Young Bucks signed here, that means we would get them by the next episode, which hopefully next episode we'll get 2 to 3 episodes of 205 done. The only reason this is short now is because I do have things that I do plan to do. Actually, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, and we are possibly going to a regional next month, so that's exciting. The first regional I did this year, I took 53rd in, so we'll see what happens this time. As AR Fox signs before Pac, Zack Sabre, Matt Jackson, or Nick Jackson. Let's go ahead and handle any pictures that we haven't done yet. Yeah, that was needed. Phoenix. I'll look for cooler pictures later for some of these guys. Penta L0M, who is actually going to switch back to his old alter ego of Pentagon Jr., because I prefer Pentagon Jr., quite frankly. It's a better name. Alright, everyone has a picture who needs it. And we're going to move on to 205 Live. Who's ready for some 205 Live action? If you're ready for some 205 Live action, I expect a like left. Let's go. We have a locker room incident. Sean Maluta brought before the wrestlers court because he made a mess and didn't clean it up. Dean Malenko made him buy a bunch of booze for everybody. And Sean Maluta improved his behavior. So that's pretty good. So let's see if we can get Tristan Archer to make friends with Cedric Alexander. Yep. That'll probably help the isolation factor, because we see that he's isolated. We see that that's only the second relationship, actually, in our company. So we're going to open up with an angle with Drake Maverick, Cedric Alexander, and Buddy Murphy. So basically what's going to happen, and we'll kind of get more into this momentarily, is Alexander versus Murphy tonight for the world title. And basically what this is going to indicate is that these two guys are going to be our top contenders going forward, at least for the next month or so. Then we're going to get a tag team match. I know we don't have too many tag teams, but I think Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik being a team makes sense because of Lucha House Party. And them taking on the team of Noam Dar and not Noam Dar. Noam Dar's good. How about the Daivaris? We don't want the Daivaris to come back. Generally, we don't want Sean Daivari to come back and pick up a big win at this point because, we know the Daivaris are not going to be major players, more than likely. They might win the tag titles, but that would be about as far as I see them going right now, unless, someone should tell me, hey, these guys are good, push them. Meanwhile, we're going to get a Mustafa Ali promo. So basically, Mustafa Ali used to be a police officer, and I really like the 205 Live use that detail. Generally, it's something I'm going to use as well. So basically, Mustafa Ali is going to be facing off against Drew Gulak, who we're going to have Mustafa Ali pick up a win, but it's not going to be a clean win. And it's definitely going to be a storytelling match because it's going to be a Rage DQ finish. Because basically, Drew Gulak is going to get mad that he can't beat Mustafa Ali legitimately. One of the hallmarks of Mustafa Ali's career so far has been the fact that he's been so resilient. He's really hard to beat generally. And then Mustafa Ali's going to get jumped by Drew Gulak savagely after the match. And then that leads us to our main event. Of course, our world title match. Cedric Alexander taking on Buddy Murphy. Excuse me, not Mustafa Ali. Buddy Murphy is going to win. It's going to be a really good match, I hope. I'm not going to have him call in the ring, actually. I'm going to think that through. So we're gonna see what happens, but it is gonna be a flash pinfall finish, therefore giving the match, giving the rivalry a reason to continue. Rather, yeah, the world title's on the line. I forgot about that. Actually, if we bump that down to 11, we don't really need 4 minutes of violence. Yeah, and then after the match, we're going to see Buddy Murphy standing over Cedric Alexander, who's going to sell the fact that he's kind of hurt. So, here we go. Not 4 minutes. I'm used to booking like 4 minutes for all my angles, but I'm trying to be a little more realistic about it now. So here we go. Basically, we open up, and Drake Maverick comes out and announces that Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander will happen tonight. Cedric Alexander says he's going to take back the title that he never really lost. Meanwhile, Murphy's going to say that he's the one that deserves the title, and that Cedric Alexander may be the soul of 205 Live, but Murphy's going to crush it. Moving on here, we have Lindsay and Gran Metalik defeating Sean and Ariya Daivari. The bad news is we didn't get any great gimmicks, not great gimmicks, great teams, but we did get a good gimmick with Sean Daivari being the Middle Eastern fanatic gimmick. I mean, at least it worked. And we know those two in Saudi Arabia started trashing the country itself, I think, or America, or it was something weird. I don't remember how it happened. But Gran Metalik defeats Sean Daivari with a fireman's carry fisherman driver. Ali then is going to come out and talk about how he was a Chicago police officer. He knows how to deal with bad guys. And that Drew Gulak, he's a real bad guy. So, Mustafa Ali is going to do the right thing and take care of Drew Gulak. He may be campaigning for a better 205 Live, but that 205 Live has to come through Ali. Mustafa Ali will defeat Drew Gulak, but basically what happens is we've all seen how Drew Gulak gets angry. Gulak is going to beat the crap out of Mustafa Ali because Ali just won't stay down. After the match, Gulak's going to attack Ali in the ring and basically beat him down. And so that hopefully will keep Mustafa off the air next week if I remember continuity. So that brings us to our world title match, which got a 45, which doesn't seem like a lot, but given these are two upper mid-carders, one of which was just a mid-carder, this is kind of pretty big. Murphy rolls up Cedric Alexander to get the victory, but we have bad news. They don't seem to click, and it made for an awkward bout. So basically, we're going to have one blow-off match and then call it. And realistically, we shouldn't even have the blow-off match, but it's needed since we just started the storyline. After that, Murphy and Cedric Alexander have another angle. Alexander is laying down, and he's not feeling too well after being beaten up. Murphy stands over him, holding the Cruiserweight title, as 205 Live goes off the air. Plus 43 minus 2. You know, that could have been a lot worse than it was, so we'll take it. Hopefully we don't lose anything out of that. We'll wrap up by checking out signings and seeing how, we were affected. Making sure we didn't fall to Colt size, or fall from Colt size, rather. Because that would be really bad. Especially early. But yeah, so hopefully you guys are enjoying this so far. This is a series that I'm really passionate about, so I'm hoping I can continue it. 205 Live is probably my favorite WWE television, like I said. I really like the athleticism. Jeff Jarrett's making enemies, that's new. NXT UK, Travis Banks and Joe Coffey are having problems. Zack Ryder and Victor are friends. Ginny Couture and Worky are good friends, I guess. We got a 0.1 TV rating. I didn't expect much more. And everybody else that we needed signed. Unfortunately, they're not going to be here for another week, which means that next week we won't be able to have any fun with that. But that's okay. We didn't fall from Colt size. We still have 49 importance in 2 regions, which is really surprising to me. So that's really good news. So generally, going forward, we're going to auto-push our roster here. We're going to see if anything changed. I don't think anything did, but it's good to check. Yeah, nothing did. We didn't have any main eventers on that show, which probably impacted things a little, but that's okay. One of the Daivaris, Arya Daivari, got pushed up from that, so that's good news. Gulak got pushed up. Mustafa Ali is hanging tight here with 23 pop. Gulak at 20. So nothing crazy yet. Tony Nese looks most likely to jump soon. So nothing crazy, but we survived. And that, at the end of the day, is all we could hope for in our first episode of 205 Live. Stay tuned for more of this series. I'm going to try my best as a Christmas present to you guys, the viewers, to keep doing this. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of your day.